So, Peter Bone, last night you chose to abstain rather than vote against the motion. Why was that?
Well, I very rarely abstain on anything. It was one of those very difficult decisions because the problem is the government was mixing two things up: increased funding for the NHS and a social care plan. Except there wasn't a social care plan. There was no bill. Procedurally, they should not have done that. What you're supposed to do in Parliament is have a bill. You debate the bill, and then after the bill is passed, if it is passed, you do a Ways and Means resolution to allow it to become an Act of Parliament. So it was procedurally wrong. It was mixed up. I have no idea what the social care bill is going to say, and I really think Parliament was bounced yesterday. But on the other side, obviously people think that there should be more money for the NHS. Well, okay, that's fine, but that should have been dealt with separately, so that's why I abstained.
So I suppose your plan now is to wait for that legislation to be tabled and really scrutinise it and potentially vote against it at that stage.
Well, that's exactly the point. You know, when you have a budget, the Chancellor stands up, he makes a speech, you think, oh, that's wonderful, I'm going to support that. And then you look at the Red Book, the details, and then you have the debate, and it all becomes unpicked. It's beginning to come unpicked about the social care. When I heard the announcement, I thought you and I would only have to pay £86,000 in care home costs. That's not now appears to be the case. It appears it only refers to the care element. So you could be paying much, much more than that, and then you might have to sell your house. So I think all those details need to be looked at and debated in a bill. What happened yesterday was a bit farcical.
How many more manifesto commitments do you think the Prime Minister's going to drop?
Well, because, I mean, I don't buy the this problem about manifesto commitments being, if you like, binding after such an event like a COVID pandemic. I mean, that's not even a once in 100 years. I mean, that's something nobody could predict. I always find it quite strange when I'm told I stood on a manifesto for this and that. Well, actually, I stand as an MP, I get nominated. Halfway through the campaign, the government produces, or the party produces, some manifesto that we're supposed to all sign. We never do that in advance. But the point is, we should be a low-tax, low-spending party. That's what we've got to get back to. I absolutely accept that COVID was an extraordinary event, and of course economically hugely damaging. So maybe there was a reason to raise NI and put more money into the NHS. But on social care, we need a proper bill, discuss that, and then decide how to vote, and then provide the money for it.
And just finally, your party has risen corporation tax, it's allowed council tax to rise, it's dragged more people into higher income tax thresholds, and now has invented a third new tax on income. Are you worried about a different party potentially stealing the low tax mantle from your own party?
Well, you're absolutely right to say that we introduced a completely new tax which will extend into pensioners who are working. So that is completely new, and we've got to get back to being a low tax, low spend party. Now, if all we do with what happened last night was to put billions of pounds into the NHS with no improvements in efficiency or productivity, then we will be just like Gordon Brown. So the challenge for the government is to make this money work. It's not the money you put in, it's the outcomes that are important. Get the outcomes right, get back to cutting taxes, getting back to growing the economy. That's where our heart is, but because of COVID, we're not there at the moment. That will be the challenge for the government over the next few years. And if we don't do that, maybe a party will grow up saying, well, the Tories are no longer doing that. I don't think that will be the case. My job as a backbencher is to make sure the government goes back, when it can, after this COVID problem we get rid of it, to a low tax, low spending government.
Peter Bone, thank you very much for joining us on GB News.
Thanks.